Forest Lake, located in Forest Lake, Minnesota, a 2,000 plus acre lake, home to musky, pike, bass, and walleye, most of all of Minnesota's sport fish. The lake is split into 3 sections, and each section has a boat launch on it. The first lake, connected to the downtown district, has 2 launches. The second lake has a single launch with no parking, and the third lake has a single launch with parking. The best launch is located in the downtown district, and it does have parking for trailers. As there are 3 sections that have boat launches, there are also 3 different sections for fishing styles. Section 1, which is connected to the Forest Lake downtown, is a larger portion of the lake than Section 2 and smaller than Section 3, but much more shallow than both Section 2 and 3. Therefore, you are looking for weed edges, and oftentimes you're looking at these weed edges at about 15 feet, and that will be where you have your attack at, and it doesn't get much deeper than that, topping out at about 20 to 21 feet as your max depth. Section 2 tops out at about 30 feet and has much more distinct drop-offs than Section 3 or 1. That being said, trolling on Section 2 is oftentimes a very good strategy, as it is very much just a small bowl, but it does give you very good drop-offs that you can just run crankbaits off the edge of. That's probably the best strategy going for pike, walleye, or anything really considered on Section 2, as it is also very limited as far as the structure along the shores. Section 3 combines the best of Section 2 with also the best of Section 1, where Section 1 has much more structure as far as points and places of interest that you can focus on with depth. So the max depth on this side is mid-30s as far as depth goes, and then you also have many points that you'll be able to cast out from and hit those edges as they drop off fairly deep, as well as many weed lines that you can go in and out of and fish the fingers, as they say when you're fishing a weed line point. With all things considered, this lake is very good as far as most of the season goes. Even late season, this lake is extremely good. The only thing that you do run into is this is one of the closest lakes to the metro that does have a lot of duck hunting on it. So Lake 3, oftentimes you miss out on your best spots due to the fact that there are duck hunters who are, sending lead downrange, or I guess steel, being that you're on the water, downrange, and it's a little bit hectic to play with that, and I personally don't like to play with fire too much, so I try to avoid going during duck season. However, that is also the best musky fishing season that you do have, so this is probably one, once it gets to later season, once it gets to duck season, one of the lesser lakes that I choose to go to. Now let's get on to the actual breakdown of the lake. As I said earlier in the video, Forest Lake is in Forest Lake, Minnesota. It is a 2,000, I believe around 200 acre lake, and it is one of the best, like I said, musky lakes in the near metro area. As far as bass and pike, it is a sleeper for both of them, as it is one of the best pike lakes in the metro as well. I would say this and West Rush probably have your best chance at a 40-inch pike. And as far as bass go, this is one of the better bass lakes too. Basically, you can take this exact same information as far as fishing musky and just slightly go shallower for bass, and with pike, kind of the same thing, just slightly go shallower and you'll be in pretty good position. Section 1. So this section I have caught my biggest fish on Forest Lake. It is not the biggest fish I've seen. Section 2 and 3 I've seen bigger fish on. However, the biggest one I actually caught on Forest Lake was on Section 1. It was working those fingers on the bottom part of this picture. You basically work those at about 13 feet. That'll take you all the way around both of them, and it will put you on the outside edge of the second finger, which is probably the best spot. I've had 4 muskie on this point alone, and definitely the best spot as far as this lake goes. However, it is almost impossible to fish when you are in midsummer, when traffic is coming from Section 2 to Section 1 and Section 1 to Section 2. At that time, if you go to the northern portion of the Section 1, that is extremely good as well, and you have way less boat traffic. There is a little section where you have a little hole right at the top of right at the top of the map there, and that is probably the best spot. You can sneak inside the hole and work the weed edge on the inside of the hole and then work it out and hit the point, and it has been extremely successful for pike. I've caught dozens of 35-inch plus pike in that area, and it's not been as productive for muskie, but it is extremely good for pike. Alright, section 2, where I have caught the most muskie, but I have caught the smallest of muskie. Pretty much everything was a stocker fish that I've caught out of this section. However, I have had one of the best days pike fishing on this side as well. Not as consistent as section 1, but that point that is listed in gold there, basically working that at about 15, 13, anywhere where you need to work it depending on whether the weed growth is. They do kill off the weeds in this lake midsummer, so there is something to deal with there as well, and you'll adjust your depth based off of that. However, this part of the lake is extremely good early season. May, June, this is when I'm fishing section 2. I've seen my biggest fish on this section, and obviously, like I said, I've caught nothing but stockers, but I have seen the biggest fish on the lake in this section. And now on to the section of the lake where I have caught the biggest pike and where I have caught the most muskie as far as of, I guess, decent size, if you want to go there, anywhere from 30 to 44. This section is where I focus mostly. It has the most structure. You have 6 points that are effective, and each one of them has a different feel to it. The one that I focus on the most is right next to the reeds, which does get affected quite heavily, like I said, when it's duck hunting season, which is also when the fish are getting fat and eating the most. So that does suck, but you can always end up adjusting and going to one of the many points that you have underwater that are just great weed edges on this third section. And during the summer, this has probably the best basin, where you can just focus on trolling the basin and hitting it at about 20 feet and then making some zigzags out to the middle and then coming back into shallower water, out to the middle, shallower water, and just work on your zigzags that way. So as far as sections go, this is my primary section that I focus on, primarily because there are a lot of different availabilities for different fishing styles and a lot of structure under the water that you can, if it's not shallow water bite, if it's not a even 15-foot bite, if it's the middle of summer and you need to find where the crappie schools are, there's a lot of structure where you can say, all right, the crappie schools are going to be here, you'll see them, and then you run crankbaits right through them, or you run whatever you're trolling right through them. So hopefully this helps you guys. Once again, thank you for watching the videos. I truly appreciate it. Hopefully you guys have some really tight lines this fall, and obviously we are getting into the muskie season. We are tailing down on the end of summer, and once we hit fall, that is pure muskie. So good luck to you guys, and I will see you on the next one.